Greetings, ladies and gentlefish, and welcome back to some more subscriber replay goodness. We are kicking off proceedings today with a game from Proxima Centauri in his T26E4 Super Pershing. Now, this is interesting because I have quite a few games played in my Super Pershing, but I haven't played it recently. And when I played this thing, it had 170 pen, which made you kind of reliant on APCR ammo. These days, the pen is 202, which is quite a substantial buff, and you can actually see Proxima here does not load any APCR at all. He is in a tier 8 maximum match. We have got 4 tier 8s per team, so it's kind of 3-5-7 matchmaking and then kind of not. This is going to be a quick game, so he is here on Lakeville, and you might already have noticed perhaps why it's going to be a quick game. So, on Lakeville, as a general rule of thumb, I would recommend people go to the town. But sometimes people throw some criticism at me and say, well, you can have a good game in the valley. And yes, it's true, you can, and I'm going to show you a good game in the valley right here. But that still wouldn't be what I would recommend as a general rule of thumb. Hello, Mr. Oh, that was unlucky, Mr. TVP. Now, the Super Pershing, I think, in today's game is kind of an interesting machine. It's got preferential matchmaking, which of course you don't really get on new tanks anymore. That was a nice shot there. Proxima's first little bit of damage there. So you don't really see preferential matchmaking anymore. This thing has pretty decent frontal armour, but that frontal armour is predominantly provided, or substantially buffed, or however you want to phrase it, by the spaced armour over the front of this tank. Has quite a lot of spaced armour. Now you can see that the TVP there manages to do damage with his heat round. So that spaced armour doesn't make you completely immune to high explosive anti-tank ammunition. But it does mean that firing HE and heat ammo at the front of this tank is a rather dubious prospect. And I would generally recommend people to use AP or APCR instead. So, yeah, there's that. But I like my Super Pershing. It's a medium tank that plays like a pocket heavy, with a low caliber gun, well, for a heavy tank, because that's what you're comparing it with, it's a small caliber gun. But, because you get the preferential matchmaking, bye-bye Mr. P43, because you get that preferential matchmaking, you can still make it work. And you might have noticed the sort of game this is going to be by now. So Proxima, a little bit more damage on the fake Japanese tiger thing over there. Proxima has managed, oh hello, there we go, there's his third kill. Proxima has managed to pick up 1200 damage done, which is none too shabby. And he's managed to pick up 3 kills, which is also quite nice. People are bouncing various types of ammo off him, be it including premium ammunition. Going for the cheeks there of the stock Tiger 2 turret, which is smart play. That's the stock Tiger 2 turret is pretty weak. These days the roof of the turret, unless you've got a good angle, is a bit dodgy if it's the fully upgraded turret, which this is not. That's just something worth bearing in mind. There's an SU-152 over there who's using the 122mm gun. Bless him, that's adorable. But on top of that damage, by the way, Proxima here has racked up almost 2,000 blocked by his armour, plus 2,500 assistance, which is pretty nice. Essentially, his tank destroyers and his artillery have really been providing some support to Proxima here. And this is the point that I try to make about the valley, but which I think some people get lost in amongst the, oh, where should I go on this map? Because the reality is that you go where you're needed. And the thing is, with the valley, if you put your whole team there, it's really easy to get bogged down. Because you've got this, you know, well, literally boggy terrain, which makes it quite difficult to advance. Hello, Mr. SU. But it's a relatively easy position to defend, and you can see essentially the friendly team have defended the valley with what was at the time a single frontline tank backed up by a couple of artillery. Proxima, by the way, is just eating all of the gold ammo here, and most of it's, a lot of it's bouncing. But anyway, so you don't want to send your entire team there but sometimes a guy there, and I'm talking frontline tanks here, can definitely be useful. But you don't want to send your entire team there. Now, Proxima's just come around here. Like, this game is over. There's only 2 of the bad guys left. 1 of the bad guys left. There we go. They're all dead. That's it. That's the game. But I wanted to show you this anyway as something a little bit different. So, there's that. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the stats for this one and see how well Proxima did. So for Proxima there, this is a lot of stuff. That was actually in the, 5-6 minutes that game lasted? That was enough for Proxima's first mark of excellence: Ace Tanker, Hand of God, Spotter, Duelist, Bruiser, Fire for Effect, Shellproof, Patrol Duty, Steel Wall, High Caliber, and a Top Gun. That's quite a long list of awards. Well done to Proxima there. Really, really nice result. 2,912 damage, 6 kills, 1,739 base experience. It's quite a lot. Easily finishing at the top of either team by damage done or XP, especially by XP. I mean, I was going to say to be fair, shout-outs to the tank destroyers and the artillery who had Proxima's back there, and to be fair to them, the rest of the team pushed through the town, but then they kind of should, because in terms of frontline tanks at least, they had a decided advantage there, as Proxima was dealing with multiple frontline tanks from the enemy team, and he had a Sherman Easy 8, if memory serves, who kind of rocked up at the end and waved some pom-poms. Enemy team, it just wasn't a very good game for them, was it? Let's be honest. 21 shots fired, 18 hits, 15 pens for that damage count, 19 hits received, 5 pens, 13 did not. 2 bits of splash damage, 2,765 damage blocked by his armour, and then 4,276 assistance damage, which got him quite a lot of experience. That was a 5-minute game on the nose. And even though Proxima doesn't run a premium account, and didn't have personal reserves running, and it wasn't Christmas, and all these other things, he still made an 83,000 credit profit with a standard account. So, yeah, it was still a really nice game, however you look at it. Also, I didn't mention it in the game, but the paint job that Proxima's rocking on that tank, it's lovely and patriotic. Like, hats off to him. It's beautiful. Anyway, I think that's quite enough for the first game. That was quite quick, so let's see if we can squeeze another one in. Usually try and put 2 games into these videos, let's be honest. Let's move on to the next one and see how that goes. So for our second game then, we are joining Pansy again, and he is driving the CS52, which off the top of my head, I think is a Polish tier 8 medium tank. I believe this is the Tech Tree variant. There is a premium one as well, but I don't think it's this. So, Pansy is in an all tier 8 match. Which, you know, when you get all same tier matches, whilst I personally find them a little bit dull, if I get them too often, if I'm honest, there's certainly a lot of opportunity to have a really good game there, because you have that balance between the tanks not being tier 10, so you don't have the +2 matchmaking to worry about, but at the same time, because there aren't any tier 6s, there's generally enough damage and experience to go around. You can, I'm not going to say farm ace tankers, but you can definitely pick up some ace tankers, and things like that in these sorts of games. So, immediately, Pansy is here on, what's the name of this map? Karelia, that's the one. And he is, hello Mr. Patriot, that's a shame. He is driving up to the A1 kind of position, and there's a fair few tanks up here, to be fair. And we're going to have a bit of fisticuffs up here. Now this, spoiler alert, is not the longest game in the world. You might notice a little bit of a common theme with the replays in this video. So shot there into the guard's armour is terrible. There's another one. This gun hits pretty hard. What have we got? It's a 105mm gun that hits for 320 on tier 8 medium. Sweet. There does seem to have been a bit of alpha damage creep among tier 8 mediums of late. Anyway, shot there into the T-44 as well. Now there's a Patriot. A nice little bit of APCR there to try and deal, well, T26E5, it's not the Patriot variant if you want to be all pedantic. But he's dead either way. So, that's an interesting position for a T44. Goodbye, Mr. T44. Methinks you have run out of friends. And suddenly the friendly team is 3-0 up. All on this flank. Yeah. Can you see the way this one's going to go? Oh, 4-0. Anyway. So, Pansy and friends just going to push up here. Nice little bit of aggression. T54 mod 1 is, well, it's got a little bit of armour to be fair, but that armour isn't worth diddly if his bum's pointing towards you and the armour isn't, like, super duper amazing anyway. Nice shot on the move there from Pansy. It's up to 2,000 damage, by the way, in case anyone wasn't paying attention. T69, boom. Ooh, that one looked like it hit, very nice. T54 mod 1 is still getting away, come on. I feel like I want to play the Wacky Races or possibly Benny Hill theme to deal with this guy, but he's got a Progetto, there's Pansy in his CS52 chasing this guy, he ain't going anywhere in a hurry, let's be honest. Oh, the friendlies have lost one, it's not going to be a 15-0 result, oh no, whatever shall they do? T54 mod 1 takes another hit, and he's done. Progetto 46 picking up the kill, 6-1. So let's not be hesitant with that W key, let's keep pushing this. Having a look at the enemy tanks that are remaining, the heavies are probably going to be down in the valley. Pansy's firing AP here because he's probably not going to meet anything. He really needs anything more than AP to deal with. Penetration on this tank is shade over 200. 205, 200 and... that's APCR, I'm stupid, 208. Which is certainly not terrible, but it's a little bit subpar for a medium tank these days, as they tend to come with around the 212 mark, but there's not much in it. You know, it's not going to wibble too much about that. Puts a shot into the artillery there, but not quite enough to kill him. And that VK is having a bad day, and there's a shot into him as well, 351. It feels weird to see a tier 8 medium tank hitting for 351. But it's, I mean, it is technically a high damage roll, but not by very much. Barask, that's a dangerous tank if ever I saw one. Oh, and he puts another shot into Pansy, because, you know, that 2 key is there. Not that, you know, I'm going to complain too much. Pansy has fired a few rounds of APCI himself, though he's not firing it exclusively. Hello, Mr. Scorpion, how are you today? You good? 329. Still a slightly high damage roll. But then again, 287 into the Barask was low, so, you know. Oh, that one doesn't penetrate there. Scorpion's dead, by the way. I should have probably mentioned Pansy's platooned up with Chaos Raven again, who picked up that kill on El Scorpione. And Pansy is just, like, farming them up here, and if you hadn't noticed, he's actually starting to run low on ammunition. Thankfully, the enemy team is dying quite efficiently. Goodbye artillery, goodbye artillery. And there's only 2 of them left at this point. And Pansy's up to 4,500 damage. That didn't take long, did it? Hello, Mr. IS3, how are you today? You good? 346, and you are dead. And there goes the 53 TP, and that is the game. Well, gosh, it wasn't a 15-0 whitewash, but wasn't far off, let's be honest. Right, let's have a look at the stats for this one then. So, perhaps unsurprisingly, given the damage count, that was an ace tanker for Pansy, along with Bruiser, 5 for effect, Confederate, and High Caliber. 5,239 damage done. That's quite a lot, especially given the length of the game. 2 kills, 1,340 base experience. Shout out to the Progetto on the friendly team. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your name, but well done. 1,282 base experience is a good result from you. Commiserations to the enemy, Stritzwang S1 in particular. No kills, but 3k damage from him and 2,500 from the Chatillon Barask. So well done to you, just not enough to carry your team there. 22 shots fired, 18 hits, 17 penetrations for that damage count. Like 3,000 from closer range, 2,000 from longer range. 3 hits received, 3 penetrations, because the CS52 does not have particularly amazing armour. 1 enemy vehicle spotted, 11 damage, 2 destroyed. Oh, a mighty 553 assistance damage, 2.32 kilometres travelled. And so with personal reserves and a premium account and all that good stuff, even though Pansy paid 38,000 credits in profit, so for ammunition, because he did fire a few APCR rounds, that was still enough for a very respectable profit of 174,000 credits there. And that match was longer than the previous one. Instead of 5 minutes on the nose, we're now at 5 minutes and 8 seconds. It feels like kind of a jip just giving you two that are so short. It doesn't feel fair. Like, combined, they're a shade over 10 minutes. Alright, we'll do one more in this video. I'll tell you what. One more. And we'll see how that one goes. So, for our third match then, we are joining Wolfwin again, and he is in the campest IS-4 I think I have ever seen. I'll be honest, that's the main reason I'm showing this game, just for the glorious skin on the tank. Now, spoiler alert for anyone watching this, or not really spoilers, but just a couple of caveats to bear in mind. One, this is kinda 357 matchmaking for tier 10, except sort of not really. Instead of 357, we have 2, 3, 10. So for a tank like the IS-4 or the Mouse on the enemy team, or pretty much any tier 10, there's a lot of tier 8s in this game to farm. But then from the tier 8's perspective, there's a lot of tier 8s in this game to farm. So let's, you know, it is what it is. I'm guessing once again we're looking at a low server population issue, as I think Wolfwin plays. I think I've said this before, but I think Wolfwin plays on the Southeast Asian server. So make of that what you will. The other thing I want to draw your attention to, because if I don't, someone's going to mention it and pick up on it, is that Wolfwin carries a lot of heat ammo in his IS-4. And he's starting off with it loaded. Now, if we actually look at what he's likely to come across, he doesn't need heat ammunition for these tanks in general. And as you notice, he's actually switching to AP, because the only tank, really, that you could argue he might want to use heat for, probably, is like the Mouse. Apart from that, AP should be absolutely fine. The AP on this tank gets 258 pen. The heat gets 340? Yeah, 340. But do bear in mind, because Wolfwin has quite a lot of heat loaded, that is probably going to mean that for a half-decent game, he's almost certainly going to be firing heat at people who don't need it, because there's a very good chance he's going to run out of AP. So just have that in mind. Anyway, on to the game in question. Oh, and there's a whole load of tier 8s, and straight away Wolfwin gets a little bit shafted by his gun there. I think he could have given that shot a little bit longer to aim, if I'm being honest. Like, he's in an IS-4, what does he have to worry about tier 8 shooting him? He's reverse side-scraping here. Like, the chances of these guys doing much in the way of damage to him are pretty negligible. So I think there he could actually... oh, hello, Mr. T26. He could actually have aimed that shot a little longer, but... you know, the second shot goes in and rolls for 418. Yay, low damage roll. He did get a little bit unlucky at the end of the day. 402 this time. Oh, we're really getting some good damage rolls here, aren't we? Into the T26. E5, that is basically the Patriot without the paint job. Oh, hello. Goodbye. He becomes Wolfwin's first kill. Bounced 1700 damage here, by the way. I mean, this is literally a dream scenario. By regular matchmaking standards, this match doesn't happen. This only happens when you have god-awful server populations. Go figure. Those of us who are on especially the European and the Russian servers, like, you ain't getting this. Unless it's maybe 4 AM, 3 AM in the morning, as opposed to 3 AM in the afternoon. Anyway. IS-3 there actually manages to penetrate Wolfwin, and he did not fire gold. That was a good old-fashioned regular armor piercing round. Can we see where that shot went? Actually kind of difficult to see. My guess is going to be lower front plate or something. Can't really see where that penetrated, but hey-ho. IS-3 pulls off a good shot there, but even if Wolfwin gets penetrated by the odd tier 8 here or there, he's got 2,500 hit points to work with. And he's not going to give that IS-3 a second chance, let's be honest. Another IS-3 just round the corner. Oh, but his bums to Wolfwin. That's a massive shame. And boom, there we go. Let's take him out. That's kill number, well, numbers 2 and 3 in case anyone wasn't paying attention. Hello, Mr. WZ. That's a nice shot you had there that just damaged my tracks. 422 into him. I mean, I was going to complain about low rolls, but we got 461 into one of the IS-3 and 491 into the other, so can't be too sad about that. It'd be churlish to complain too much. There's kill number 4, and suddenly the scoreline is 6-3. And the enemy are not looking particularly clever. The enemy Mouse, for some reason, decided it was a good idea to chill out on the other flank, out in the open, in a Mouse, with 2 artillery on the enemy team. Like, I can't think of anything that could possibly go wrong in that scenario. Can you? That wouldn't have been what I would have chosen to do, put it that way. But hey ho, c'est la vie. So, Wolfwin has now burned through all of his armour-piercing ammo, in case you weren't paying attention, and a couple of his heat rounds, but he's only got heat left to fire, so go figure. CS-52 on the enemy team manages to put an APCR round into the front of Wolfwin's tank. The enemy WZ-121 didn't. His heat just did nothing. And actually, in this sort of situation, heat is kind of awkward, because where you've got all this crud in the way, AP could happily go through some of those walls, for example, and it might lose a little bit of penetration, but it can still go through the target behind it. Heat, not so much. So actually, in this particular scenario, the fact that Wolfwin has so much heat loaded is actually more of a hindrance than it is a help. Scoreline's 10-9, by the way, so this is actually pretty close. Hello, Mr. CS, how are you today? 4-3-8 into him. And, oh look, it's a Rheinmetall Borsig. And again, the fact that Wolfwin doesn't carry any HE is also a little bit of a downside here because, well, okay, maybe not given that guy's just got slapped for 700, but if that weren't the case, Wolfwin could have dealt with that guy with HE. Now, I am going to be slightly critical of how Wolfwin approached that waffle thrower there. There was absolutely no reason to just drive straight at the guy without angling his armour, and there's a mouse. This is where your heat is going to be useful. I would have gone for the turret cheeks there. Just my choice. I think that would have been an easier shot than the kind of angled lower front plate where your shot might hit the tracks or something. Just personal preference. So yeah, in that scenario, regardless of what ammo you're going to decide to take, I do honestly think, hello Mr. Mouse again, Wolfwin shouldn't have approached that waffle thrower just straight on. Like, you've got armour, angle it. Going for the cheek shot there, but undone by his terrible shell velocity, which is, like, 800 or something? 920. Oh wait, yes, for heat. And again, but hey, premium ammunition makes armour useless, right? Yeah, no. That's just factually incorrect. Bounce there from the mouse, who is also firing premium ammo, it's worth pointing out. Can we get the turret cheeks this time? Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go, 410 into Monsieur Mouse. And there's only 2 of them left at this point, the mouse and the CS-52. Wolfwin's angling, his track seeker shot, nicely done. Turret cheeks, turret cheeks, turret cheeks, pew! Gunmantler. Rock and roll. Because the gunmantler's spaced, that's actually a really dodgy shot. Now, this time that Wolfwin has got, as the mouse has decided to drop into the low ground, Wolfwin could definitely be closing the distance, as he is doing. Because if he closes the distance, then the rather dubious accuracy on the IS-4's gun here is going to be much less of an issue, and doesn't even bother to aim. Just Russian things, I suppose. That's not even true. You can do that in many tanks. Anyway, just the CS-52 to go, and here's the thing. You've got an ST-1, an IS-4, a couple of artillery and a T-44. Wolfwin's never going to catch a CS-52, it's just not going to happen. So Wolfwin does the only really sensible thing he can do. He drives into the cap with the ST-1, who's in a similar position. He's never going to catch a CS-52. The only guy on their team who might be able to catch a CS-52 is the T-44, and he decides, screw it, we're just going to drive into the cap circle. And, like, I'm not going to make you sit through this interminably. Spoiler alert, they cap out. Which, in that particular scenario, you can argue about whether it was the right call or not. The CS-52 had already taken some damage. It's not like he was on full health. And he would have still taken 2 shots to kill, for example, Wolfwin. But chasing him around the map just seems like a bad plan. So I can totally get why they decided to cap. Anyway, there we go. That's the game. The Camp IS-4 managed to do what was needed. Let's have a look at the post-game stats. So there we go. That was Wolfwin in his fabulous IS-4, or Fab4 for short. I'll let you make jokes about that. Ace Tanker, Spotter in an IS-4, Bruiser, Duelist, Fire for Effect, Shell-Proof, Steel Wall, High Caliber, and a Top Gun in probably the most favourable Tier 10 matchmaking I think I have ever seen. At least since they redid the matchmaker. I remember being in one game, it was a tier 5 match. This is a long time ago, so back in sort of old matchmaker land where there was one tier 5 on each team, and everybody else was tier 3. I was in the tier 5 on my team, which was great, but I was in the Panzer III-4. The enemy was in a Churchill 3, and he just went through both our team like a hot knife through butter. I did damage, but not enough to counterbalance the power of the Churchill 3. Anyway, let's have a look at damage and whatnot. 4,431 damage, 7 kills, 1,273 base experience. Shout out to the Object 704 on the friendly team. 3k damage is fairly respectable, and artillery did alright as well. That ST1, I mean, he wasn't fully upgraded, bless him, he was stock, but had a pretty woeful game. But we've all been there, let's be honest. On the enemy team, like the STB1, he did alright, but he just didn't do quite enough to counterbalance the IS-4 here. And the mouse, like, seriously? Why did you go to that flank? I just don't understand. This feels like perhaps a new player, or relatively new, who didn't really know what he was doing. There we go. It is what it is. 21 shots fired, 19 hits, 14 pens for that damage count, most of which was from pretty close range because it's an IS-4. 16 hits received, 5 damaged, 11 didn't, over 4k blocked by his armour, 1700 assistance, some base capture points thrown in there, and of course he made a loss because he did fire some gold ammo because he ran out of armour piercing. I mean, it's just one of those things. All in all though, a nice game. And there we go. 3 relatively quick games. I mean, that one wasn't as quick as the other 2. It was 8.5 minutes, but this video won't be too long, is the point. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, feel free to catch some of my other videos. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can send me your own replays, upload them to whatreplays.com, take the URL and chuck it into the relevant bit of Discord. There should be Linkarino down in the description for you to do so. And I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao, ciao.